Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, Opie falls deeply in love with a girl working at her aunt's dog grooming business, even volunteering there. After 2 years, he plans to propose, but she starts spending more time alone, eventually revealing she's dating someone else. Heartbroken, he moves on, finding solace in group activities. Months later, his ex returns, begging for a second chance after being betrayed. Now let's get into the story. I started dating a funny, gorgeous girl that worked as a dog groomer at her aunt's business. I was so committed to this girl that I started volunteering there. I would sweep up dog hair and do anything else they needed me to. Her aunt loved me. And looking back now, I think she would have dated me if I gave her the chance. She watched us, teased us lovingly, and offered support. Overall, her niece became my girlfriend, and after 2 years, I was seriously considering marriage. We hadn't moved in together officially, but she was going back to her apartment less and less frequently. That is, until everything changed. She started going back to her apartment more often. Just before I pick out a ring, I asked her right away why this was happening. But all she told me was that she needed alone time to focus on her online courses, YouTube channel, and reading. I wondered why she couldn't do that with me at my place. She seemed so certain that she needed this, and the last thing I wanted to do was push her farther away by being controlling. However, after a week of this, I was desperate for her to come back to me. I went over to her apartment unannounced. One Saturday night, after waiting all day to hear from her, I used my key that she probably forgot she gave me and found her cooking dinner. She was very upset to see me and told me I needed to leave. She started saying something about needing privacy when I noticed there were 2 glasses of wine. Then the toilet flushed and AP came out. He was confused and called her honey. It felt like I suddenly had a baseball in my throat. I told him I was her boyfriend, but then she interrupted me to say I was her ex. When I looked at her in disbelief, she said she told me she needed her space. I asked if that was supposed to mean the same thing as breaking up because I was still planning to propose. She accidentally laughed. She was so surprised. I didn't want to stay another minute, so I went home. Over the next 8 months, I lived with my dog and cat and started participating in local group activities for emotional support. I never intended to be a loner, and I didn't want to believe all women would be like my ex was. Her aunt joined one of these groups, and she was so happy to see me. She was surprised to learn that her niece was no longer my girlfriend. She said she was still working with her and just heard her tell a funny story about me a few days ago. I was confused but figured she was lying to her aunt because she knew she liked me and didn't want to lose her job because of her betraying me. Her aunt was very upset for me and vowed to make this right. I told her it didn't matter much to me anymore. Plus was interested in another girl I met recently. 2 months later, I was sitting with this aforementioned girl in my living room watching a movie when there was a knock on the door. It was my ex crying in the rain. She said her aunt fired her and AP had cheated on her. She lost her place to live and without anywhere else to go needed me to give her a second chance before I responded. She said she was wrong for abandoning me after I showed her so much dedication and love. I said she was right, so I wanted to know why she was here. She was devastated that I was so short with her. And then she saw my new girlfriend. I told my ex I found a woman who was worthy of my trust and I never wanted to see her again. Then I slammed the door in her face. I'm still with my new girlfriend and feel confident that she would love to be my wife. I wanted to share my story in the hopes that others would know it's not the end of the world. When a loved one betrays you, it keeps spinning slowly enough for us to heal and find another love. Finding hope and becoming wiser is what makes it all worth it. Today's second story. In this story, Opie begins a relationship with a woman, initially bonding over time spent with her and her children. However, As their relationship progresses, he discovers her ongoing communication with her ex, leading to a confrontation where she confesses to sleeping with him. This revelation prompts the man to end the relationship and kick her out, ultimately realizing he deserves someone who will prioritize loyalty and respect his wishes. Now let's get into the story. I started coming over to see her while she lived at her mother's house. I had to visit while her mom was at work because she never wanted anyone to visit my wife. We played games with the kids and went to the neighborhood pool a few times. After about 4 months of daily visits and even some sleepovers with the kids at my house, her mother changed the locks of her house while they stayed over. She thought that since her daughter trusted me enough to bring the kids to my house, we knew each other well enough for her to move in. I'm sure it had nothing to do with the fact that she just wanted to unload her daughter on someone else because she herself was engaged to be married. We had a great 2 months of living together until we found out from the landlord that there wasn't enough space for 3 children. I immediately started looking for new housing for my new family and 5. We searched for a while but couldn't find any houses that fit our budget, so I agreed to move in with her father several states away. I was scared to move away from everything I knew for the past 10 years for a woman I didn't know. I should have kicked her out right then, but I decided she was worth taking the leap for. I was used to being married and committed to someone. I wanted children, and I cared for the 3 of them. That's when I came home from work and found out that she was still talking to her youngest father. She swore that it was about visiting the child only, nothing between them. But she was planning to meet him so he could at least say goodbye to his child if we were moving so far away. She asked if we were moving like she wasn't even sure it was happening. Despite all the packing and boxes in my house, she was on her phone more than usual, and I just knew this was more than what she was saying. We got into a fight about it, so she left with the kids for a while. I went out drinking and I wondered if this was the right thing to do. I got home late and she still wasn't back. I started to worry because I really did care about her and I was never a father. But I could imagine a dad should have every right to say goodbye to his child. I was more worried that there was more going on between my new girlfriend, who I was risking everything I had for, and the kid's father. My worries were becoming more real when she didn't come home until the next morning. It was very strange because she didn't get back until I was at work, one of the last days before moving. When I got home, she acted like everything was fine, and it was such a relief to see me. It was a relief to see her because I got used to her presence. Everything was good until we laid down in bed together. Then her heart was pounding so loud I could hear it. I asked her what was going on, and she broke down. She said she slept with her kid's father again. I jumped out of bed and started screaming. I knew this was going to happen. This was why I didn't want her to go. And we had a fight about it. It was 12 a.m. when I kicked her out with her 3 kids. They went back to her mom's house, but she wouldn't let them in. So I bought her a hotel room for her and the kids before they drove 10 hours the next day. She called me so many times, begging me to answer the phone and give her another chance. She said she loved me and never meant to sleep with him. She knew it was the last and only time she was ever going to sleep with another man besides me. I told her she was wrong because I would never have her again. I have no idea where she is today, but I know I lucked out. I was willing to give her my heart and provide for her and her children, but it wasn't enough for her to remain loyal to me and respect my wishes. I believe I'll find a woman that knows how to turn down a man's advances out of love and dedication to me. Today's third story. In this story, Opie's wife works as a lifeguard and craves adventure. She cheats on him with a man she met while walking by the sea. Despite her remorse, he refuses to forgive her, divorces her, and moves on. Life faces social repercussions, leading to isolation. He finds happiness with a new partner, emphasizing the importance of self-respect and not tolerating infidelity. Now let's get into the story. Life always had a passion for the sea. She worked as a lifeguard on a beach. I tried not to be jealous while I worked my office job. I believe she was a good woman. Our relationship was her first serious relationship that resulted in marriage. She told me she knew we were made for each other. What she failed to realize was that she was not nearly mature enough to be so committed to this idea of forever. She was longing for adventure without me beyond her normal workday. She didn't come home when I expected one day. I called her once at 30 minutes late and again at 1 hour and 15 minutes late. I knew she was a grown, responsible woman, and I didn't want to be the harping father type of husband. When she did get home, she was acting very strange. It was in a way that seemed like she thought she was acting normal, but didn't realize I knew her better than she even did. She didn't see her own behavior in the mirror every day, and for that reason, I knew something happened today that didn't normally happen. I tried asking her what was wrong, or what happened today that delayed her. She acted like nothing different happened, but since she was late, she eventually said she stopped at the market to walk around during the sunset. I bought it for the night, and we went to bed. Nothing happened then, either, which was disappointing. In the morning, I woke up to her kneeling beside my side of the bed, sobbing into the sheets. The first thing she said was that she didn't mean to do it. She said she just wanted to do something fun and spontaneous, and it wasn't supposed to escalate the way it did. My heart started racing, and I felt like I'd been awake for hours. I asked her what she was talking about. She swallowed hard, started pulling her hair, and said she just started chatting with a man after he docked his boat. She was just walking, enjoying the sunset, and asked him about his boat. Their conversation continued until he invited her on the boat. It sounded fun, and he just seemed like a friendly person. She started sobbing again and said she messed up. I asked if she cheated on me, and she could only nod. I jumped up and started packing my stuff. She kept crying and found it hard to believe that I refused to give her a second chance since she was being honest and telling me the truth. I told her she was being honest about the fact that she didn't deserve me, and she was a sleazy girl for sleeping with some guy when she could have said no. I told her I wouldn't be the man to forgive her for wasting years of my life and convincing me to believe she had self-control and dedication to me. That was all I said, even though she was trying to get me to say more for another 30 minutes while I got all my essentials. I knew if I said anything else, it would only hurt me more. I went to my brother's house and filed for divorce. She started showing up once she figured out where I was staying and did anything she could to get me to take her back. I wouldn't answer the door. Thankfully, my brother helped by dismissing her. I could have done it, but it's good to have supporters that help you do the harder thing, because it's the right thing to do for your future. I only told her one more thing. One day when she tried contacting me, I told her she never should have gotten on the boat, and I refused to be made a fool for taking her back or thinking she wouldn't do this ever again. If I was the one to spend time with another woman alone, people would have easily said I was cheating on her. She left me alone, but couldn't stay in the house, so she moved in with someone else. Somehow everyone she worked and socialized with found out she cheated on me, so gossip spread, and everyone labeled her as someone to avoid. Her roommate was nearly cut off from society just for having her live there, so she kicked her out. I think she moved out of town or something, because why would anyone stay in a town where everyone knows you're a piece of crap? Since she left, my life's been going swimmingly. I started dating a woman that works at the library, and even though it's hard to live alone after years of having someone with me, I coped. Now my girlfriend sleeps over sometimes, and I look forward to that. We're adaptable to change, but there's never a reason to accept an unfaithful spouse.